Hey, Trucker Todd here. Good morning. Sorry I look so rough. Stopped here at Love's right outside of Texarkana, Texas, to get a shower and eat some breakfast. And while I was in there, the power went out. So that's why I'm unshaven. It's pouring down rain here. And so I got a little wet walking back out to the truck. But that's not what today's video is about. Today, well, let me back up a little bit. Right before the new year, I did a video making 2020 predictions. And another one of my predictions has come true. It's not a real big shock. Another company that probably most of us have heard of has gone out of business yesterday. I just now got a chance to shoot this video. I'm probably going to butcher the name, but I'll do my best. I'm going to go ahead and spell it after I say it. Immediately when I saw this, I went, oh yeah, I've seen their trucks. And the first place I saw this article was on CDL Life, but I found a more detailed article on Freight Waves, and that's going to be the article that I use for this video. And I'll put a link in the description below to this article if you want to go read it yourself. I'll read most of it, but I may skip over some certain parts. And so also, before we get into that, make sure that you've subscribed to this video and that you click the bell notification so that when when I put out future videos, you'll receive a notification. It's free to do that. Also, share this video on your social media platforms, or you can even send it as a text to other drivers and people in the trucking industry that you think might benefit from this video. And if you want to do me a huge favor, give me a thumbs up as well. That helps YouTube know that you enjoy what I'm doing here. All right, let's jump right in. Let's not waste any more time. I got to get back on the road shortly. So, Freight Waves. Title of the article, Tennessee-based trucking company ceases operations after 69 years. That right there caught my attention. This isn't a huge company, but generally, if a company's been around almost 70 years, you think, man, they must be doing something right. Greg Baer, or Baer, B-A-E-R, owner of Baer Inc., decided to close shop and says trucking just isn't worth it anymore. I think anybody that's been out here a while has felt that way at some point in their life. Here's the actual article. Family-owned Baer Inc. of Nashville, Tennessee ceased operations on January 31st, citing government regulations, the ongoing struggle to find qualified drivers, and soaring insurance costs as the main reasons behind the company's decision to close after 69 years. Owner Greg Baer told Freight Waves he made the decision to retire and wind down operations after his son decided he didn't want to take over the family business Greg's dad started back in 1951. The shuttered refrigerator carrier had nearly 200 drivers in April 2018, according to its last filing with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, but the company was down to around 35 drivers at the time of its closure. Wow, think about that for a second. So in April of 2018, you had 200 drivers, and you're basically 1/7 of that size now at 35 drivers. Just what, 18 months later? So they had lost a lot of people. They had a lot of turnover. Here's what he believes is the cause of that, and then towards the end of this video, I'll tell you what I think the cause of that is. Trucking just isn't worth it anymore, Baer told Freight Waves. The government has piled on so many regulations on these drivers that most young people don't want to become drivers. I recently did a video on that about the driver shortage and millennials coming into trucking and things like that. You can click on my name at the bottom of this video and see all the videos on my channel. There's a lot of stuff pertaining to this that I've done recently, and I would just encourage you to go back and watch those videos when you have time. Baer said he lost his best drivers when the federal electronic logging device mandate took effect in December 2017. Also want to comment on that towards the end of this video, because I know ELDs are taking the blame for a lot of what's going on right now, and I don't know that that's completely true. So let's keep going. My drivers said, "We are older and tired and just want to retire instead of dealing with ELDs," he said. I couldn't blame him. Lawsuits and soaring insurance costs also factored into Baer's decision. "I hope all these ambulance chasers burn in hell," he said. Over the past 24 months, Howard Baer Inc. trucks had been inspected 90 times, and 26 were placed out of service. That's not good either. That's almost 25% of their trucks were placed out of service. So it sounds like there was just a lot of issues everywhere. We'll discuss that more here in just a minute. According to the FMCSA website, Safer website, its trucks were involved in 7 crashes, including 1 fatal wreck over the same 2-year period. Greg Baer said Hogan Transport, headquartered in St. Louis, is leasing the shuttered Carriers building in Nashville and hired most of its remaining drivers. So that's good that most of their drivers still have a job with Hogan Transport. Hopefully, if it works out, if not, at least they've got a paycheck till they can find something better. "We're not broke, but it's just not worth it anymore," Baer told FreightWaves. "I want to retire and spend more time with my grandchildren." Okay, now let's talk about this for a second. There's a lot going on here. First of all, before ELDs, I know a lot of older drivers were talking about retiring because they didn't like the increased regulations. I started driving in 1996, and every year the regulations have increased. Truck drivers in general don't like change, and anytime there is a change in the logbook rules or anything like that, you always have a batch that say, "I'm going to quit, I'm not doing this no more." I remember when fuel prices shot up, a lot of drivers, "I'm going to park my truck, I'm not going to drive no more." And that didn't happen. Very few, if any, drivers actually quit because of that. And I would suspect a lot of that's true here at Howard Baer. Sure, some of them probably quit because of ELDs, but I'll bet most of them were older drivers that were just planning on retiring anyway. This is a very demanding job, especially in reefer, and you can get burnt out, and I think that probably had more to do with it than anything. Let's talk about ELDs for a second. I'm going to upset a lot of people when I say this, but ELDs aren't the problem. ELDs are just forcing people to run legal, which is what we should have been doing all along. Now, I just said I started in 1996. So, while I'm not going to tell you exactly what I've done over those 24 years, I will tell you that I think most drivers have taken liberties with their logbooks and probably done things they shouldn't have done. In those days, it was a different time than it is now. There's a lot more lawsuits and litigation now than there ever was back then. So, ELDs aren't the problem. Here's what the problem is. The problem is the laws themselves. And that's kind of a complicated issue too. I've heard drivers say, "We need more than 70 hours. 70 hours in 8 days just isn't enough." And I would say, if you can't make a living working 70 hours in 8 days, when most people are making a living working 40 or 50 hours a week at their regular job, then the problem's not the 70-hour rule. The problem is the pay in trucking and the rates themselves. I mean, you've got an example right here. He's talking about the increased rates for because of lawsuits and insurance. Well, you can reduce your lawsuits a lot by improving your safety. Getting put out of service 26 times out of 90 inspections is not good. And that's part of the problem. When a lawyer sees that, they're going to get excited because that looks good in front of a jury. So part of the problem is possibly not enough focus on safety. And that ties into the ELDs as well. It sounds like, and I don't know, I never worked for this company, but it does sound like kind of an outlaw culture. So the 70-hour rule is not the problem. 11 hours a day. Do you really want to work more than 11 hours a day? I don't. I think 11 hours a day is plenty. So I don't know that that's the issue. So what do I think does need to change in the rules? Well, there needs to be a little more flexibility. And what I'm talking about there is maybe the 14-hour rule. If you're driving throughout the day and you're tired and you want to pull over and take an hour nap, that shouldn't count against your 14-hour rule. They shouldn't punish you for wanting to rest. Also, for example, last night, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for this too. I pulled into Love's. I had about 30 minutes left. I got fuel. It was packed. No parking. Now, this is in Malvern, Arkansas, not a place that you would typically expect to be overloaded. I wasn't in the Northeast or anywhere like that. There was a rest area 10 miles up the road. I still could have made it and parked. Got there, and it's one of those that's in the center median. My side was closed. The other side was open. So I went down another 7 or 8 miles, and I found a pilot and was able to get parking there. So I went 7 or 8 minutes over my drive time. No way egregious, no way with malintent, but I'll probably get a nasty letter in the mail. It's technically a logbook violation. But was I really a safety hazard? Was that really something that we need to freak out about? Now, people that have never, ever, ever driven a truck will say, well, you should have planned better. And I've heard that twice in my 24 years of driving. And both times it was from people that's never driven a truck. You know, the San Francisco 49ers planned on winning the Super Bowl, but it didn't happen. And so just because you plan something doesn't mean that there's not going to be a change to that plan, a modification to that plan, or something like that. And so to me, I think there should be a little more flexibility along those lines. They have it for unforeseen weather, which in this day and age with all the technology we have, that's pretty impossible to achieve because there really is rarely any unforeseen weather. Now they've kind of modified it to where if there's an accident that shuts down the road, they'll give you a little extra time, but there should be a little leniency there. If it's just 5 or 10 minutes for situations like that. I did make notations in my logbook, and we'll see what happens. But another thing that I've noticed, way stations, they're shutting them down and they're closing them off. Why not leave those open so that truckers can park in there? They tear the building down. I can understand not putting restrooms and facilities in. Throw a couple of trash cans in there and let drivers spend the night there. It wouldn't cost the state anything. It would improve truck parking, and it would get fatigued drivers off the road. So that's something I've never understood, why they don't allow truckers to park in these abandoned way stations. But let's keep going in this. I would also say, with regards to TLDs, that this is one more indication why pay needs to go up, why rates need to go up. Because and maybe even the mileage pay system needs to go away. Because let's face it, why are drivers violating their ELDs? Why are drivers wanting to violate their ELDs? Why are drivers wanting more time to drive? Well, because they need to make money. And we're back to my original question. Why can a person not make a living wage working 11 hours a day? Why can a person not make a living wage working 70 hours in 8 days? Those are the questions we need to be asking. In any other business, if your cost goes up, and I'm thinking of Wendy's right now. This guy points out Howard Baer Inc., the son that now runs the company, points out that insurance cost has gone up. I remember a few years ago, tomato prices shot up. They had some kind of weather incident somewhere in the world, and it caused tomato prices to show up. So Wendy's quit putting tomatoes on their hamburgers. And if you wanted a tomato, you had to pay extra for the tomato. Why does that not happen in trucking? It's obvious insurance rates have gone up. It's obvious that, well, last year driver wages did go up, but they need to go up again. They're still not where they need to be. You're asking drivers to spend weeks and in some cases months away from their family. And like I reported in a previous video, the average truck driver wage nationwide is $45,000 a year. That's not a great wage for the sacrifices that truck drivers make out here. And so if Wendy's can go up on prices because tomato prices go up, why can't freight rates go up when trucking expenses go up? And part of that is the emissions they put on the new trucks. The trucks are more expensive now. I mean, there's a lot of things. This video could be 2 hours long, and I'm getting ready to wrap it up. There's a lot of things that contribute to this, but yeah, this something's got to change. And I think the biggest problem here, and I've said this in other videos, is the carriers aren't setting the rates. The shippers are. Imagine if you ordered something and you could tell Amazon or UPS or FedEx what you were going to pay in shipping. Would you set a rate that was fair to them, or would you set a rate that's fair to you? And that's the big problem, is these shippers, they go for the lowest man they can get. If somebody will do it a nickel a mile cheaper, they'll jump. Unless service just really suffers because of it. And there's companies out here that have enough width, and what I mean by that is they have enough trucks that they don't have to make a lot per load. They can make a half a cent a mile per truck, and they have so many trucks that they can still be really profitable. But if you're a guy with 1 truck or 5 trucks or 10 trucks, it's really difficult to make it. And like I was saying at the first of this video, I predicted this in my video I did back, well, I believe it was December 31st when I released it. And there's going to be more companies. There was another one, it didn't mention it. Well, maybe it did. There was another company that closed earlier, and it had several subsidiary companies. And so there's going to be more companies coming. That's why I went to LTL. It's a lot safer right now in this environment. But there's going to have to be some major changes in trucking coming very soon. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Sorry I rambled a little bit in this video. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.